Gateway Arch National Park in St. Louis, Missouri is one of America's weirdest national parks in that it does not fit in the national park criteria and is a man-made structure. And while most people overlook this national park, it actually symbolizes the westward expansion of the United States. The park was established in February of 2018, and before that it was established as the Jefferson National Expansion Memorial in 1935. So here is how we spent one day exploring Gateway Arch National Park. We're out here in the city of St. Louis, and we just drove down here from Lincoln, and tomorrow we're going to be visiting our 23rd national park, which will be the Gateway Arch National Park here in St. Louis. Yeah, this national park, it's a little bit different from the other national parks in that it kind of doesn't fit the criteria. It's a man-made structure situated in a city, but it's kind of more to symbolize the westward expansion of the United States and kind of the development and stuff. So yeah, this national park, it was first established as a national monument, but then in 2018 it was granted national park status. And yeah, so the arch stands at 630 feet tall, and I'll talk a little bit more about what we're going to do in the park once we get into the park. We made it into the park, and you can see right behind me here is the Gateway Arch. And yeah, we kind of last minute decided to get some tickets to go to the top. You can see the windows up there at the very top. So I think that will be our first stop, and then we'll kind of walk around the park a little bit. I think the park is close to 100 acres, so it's pretty big, and we'll kind of walk around the park. So let's take the elevator ride to the top. This is the elevator tram car that will take you to the top. It is pretty small, and they sometimes can pack up to 5 people in one of these cars, which if there were 5 adults in there, I could imagine it being pretty tight. After walking through the park, we then went underground below the arch, and after entering, you will go through a quick security checkpoint, and after that, you will enter the Museum and Visitor Center, where you can learn more about the history of the park. But it was then about time for our elevator ride to the top, so we checked in and they assigned us an elevator. After that, we then walked down deeper into the ground, and they took us back to the staging area to get into the elevator. There was a video playing, and one of the park rangers talked more about the history of the arch and how it was built. And it was then time for us to head down and get into our elevator. This whole process took about 15 minutes. Once we boarded the elevator, we then started going up. On the way up, the ride is 4 minutes, and on the way down, it only takes 3 minutes. They split the arch into a north and south side, and they will assign you a side depending on which time slot you get. So make sure to go to the correct side. After the 4-minute elevator ride, we made it to the top. The views at the top were really cool, as you could see for miles. The view looking to the west was especially cool, as you could see the whole city of St. Louis and the skyline. At the beginning of the ride, they said on a clear day you can see up to 30 miles from the top, and I believe it. You could see so much. At the top, they gave us about 5 to 10 minutes. But before we head down, I wanted to talk a little bit about the history and how the arch was built. Construction on the arch was started in February of 1963 and completed in October of 1965. The arch is made up of 142 stainless steel sections hoisted up by crane until they meet in the middle, making the arch 630 feet tall. The arch is anchored into the ground by steel posts stuck 60 feet into the ground, and 30 feet of that is drilled into bedrock. But we now head back down the elevator and spend the rest of the time exploring some of the other sites that this park has to offer. We just made it down from the top of the arch. Yeah, really cool. Something you should definitely do if you're coming to the Gateway Arch. And then we kind of walked around the visitor center area, like under the arch for a little bit. There are quite a few like facts and stuff about the arch. But now we're gonna walk the little trail around the arch, kind of go stand under the arch and stuff. There's a couple other things we can do, like the old courthouse, and there's a couple statues and stuff. So let's go walk around the arch. After we finished walking around the arch, we then headed across the street to the old courthouse. The courthouse was built between 1839 and 1862. It was used to try some of the most critical legal challenges about slavery and women's rights. The most famous case being in 1847 and 1850. Enslaved couple Dred and Harriet Scott filed lawsuits here to claim their freedom. Another case that was tried here was in 1872. Activist Virginia Minor argued that the 14th Amendment granted women the constitutional right to vote. In this building, you can walk into many of the different courtrooms where these cases were tried. There is also a small gift shop where you can purchase different souvenirs from the park. That's where we're going to end this video of going to our 23rd national park, the Gateway Arch National Park here in St. Louis. Yeah, this national park, it was a little bit cooler than I was expecting it to be, but it's still like, it doesn't fit the national park criteria, but it's still definitely worth a visit if you're in the area, and it serves as a good reminder of westward expansion and the whole like national park service as a whole. And yeah, everything we did in this national park was really cool. From going up in the arch, riding up the elevator, highly recommend doing that. That was super cool. If you're afraid of heights or claustrophobic, maybe not the best thing to do. The elevators are really small and they pack 5 people into them. And then just walking around the arch, checking out some stuff around the arch, the old courthouse, kind of just walking the trail around it was really cool. Also, just seeing how big and ginormous the arch really is. And if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.